Okay, the second type of thought pattern that most people are going to have to battle against is expectations, or the expecting mind. And so the expecting mind comes from a place within where you just want to, all at once is a sense of safety and continuity. That is what the expecting mind wants. And so if I expect others to behave in a certain way and they do, then I feel safe about my place in the world and how I relate to it, and everything is going to be okay. But if someone else acts in a way that I don't expect them to, then I get all angry and bent out of shape. That is on me, and I have to learn how to manage that. So to manage the expectations, or the expecting mind, first of all, just start thinking about everyone around you and imagine if you had to constantly 100% of the time live and behave in a way that they wanted you to be like. Imagine living your life like that. It would be very, very suffocating over time. And that is exactly how you're making other people feel when you constantly expect them to be or behave in a way that you want them to be. So it's very, very suffocating. But not only that, those people, if they're putting their expectations on you, are not actually allowing you the freedom to behave how you want to behave, to be who you are and to be how you are. And so, sometimes you just want to protect other people, and if you think they behave in a certain way, everything will be fine for them. But by taking away their freedom, you're actually causing them a measure of harm and discomfort in their life. So a very, very good affirmation for this is, I trust and allow myself or other people, depending on where the expectations are coming from, to be free and experience the benefits and consequences of their decisions, because that is what it means to be an adult and to be free. You make your choices. Sometimes it works out for you. Sometimes it doesn't. When it doesn't, you learn your lessons. But when you're constantly expecting things of others, or they're always expecting it on you, that element of freedom is gone. And so just learning to trust that things will be okay when others don't match your expectations, or you don't match other people's expectations, but at least you're loving them at a higher level because you're giving them or yourself freedom. The third type of thought pattern that you're going to have is the daydreaming mind. And the daydreaming mind is a very ungrounded state. It lacks focus and direction, for sure, and it comes from a couple places. And the main place that it comes from is, I do not like the circumstances that I'm in right now. I don't even want to admit them or accept them. And so when you're in that state of being, your mind starts to create daydreams and fantasies, and you get lost in your imagination of how great life could be if it were somewhere else and if it were like this. And then you compare how your life is now to that, and it creates a further rift and divide, and you fall further into daydream. And so, I did a lot of this when my wife was very ill with breast cancer. I spent a lot of my time daydreaming because a part of me just did not want to accept that she was going through cancer. And so, I had to face that. And that was the only way I could pull myself out of my daydreaming mind, was to learn to accept what was going on in front of me. And that is a powerful, very powerful, skillful tool to learn to manage the daydreaming mind. Is whatever your situation is, if you're not liking it, the first thing you have to do is acknowledge that is the way it is. If you can't even acknowledge it or admit it, there's actually usually nothing you can do to change it. Doesn't mean you won't or can't change it, but you still have to admit and accept that's the way it is. And once you do that, then that pulls you out of the daydreaming mind, and you can start to, learn to have a little more courage to face the things that are, challenging in life. The other thing to do for the daydreaming mind, which is fantastic, is grounding yourself in your body through movement. And so when you're off daydreaming and you're in outer space somewhere, doing something physical, if you can recognize that you're daydreaming and come back to reality, come back to now, and do something physical, like go for a walk or do some stretching or just do some jumping jacks or whatever, even eat a good meal. That's something that pulls you back into your body and will take you out of your wandering imagination. Not that imagination is a very bad thing, but sometimes it can just create this sense of detachment and sometimes even be used as an escape. So accepting what is in front of you and grounding yourself in your physical body, two very powerful tools to deal with the daydreaming mind. Okay, the judging mind. Dun dun dun. This is everybody experiences. I don't think there's any exception to this. At some point, we have either been very critical of self or other people. I do it. I'm just as guilty as anyone on that one. It's just, again, how much do you let your judgments take over and get you out of control and create more anger and trouble in your life, and how much can you manage your judgments? And so judgments come from a place within where there is a deficiency of love. That's all it is. It's just coming from a place of anger or hate, either directed at self or externally. And so a fantastic practice, again, once you find yourself being caught up in negative judgments, just take that breath once or twice or 3 times, calm yourself, relax yourself, recognize there's my judging mind, name it, say, okay, there's my judgmentalness happening over and over again. The skillful tool to pulling yourself out of the judgmental mind is a practice of loving kindness. This is an amazing tool to help you get out of your own judgments. So let's say a common example, you're walking down the street and, there's some homeless person who's asking for money, and your judgment in your mind is, you should get a job, you should do this, you should do that, go make some money. And all you're actually doing is projecting anger and hate at someone, which is not helpful. If you catch yourself doing something like that, immediately take that breath and pull yourself back and practice loving kindness. Say something that is pretty much exactly the opposite of what your judgment is. It could be, may you find peace, may you find happiness, may you finally just get a break in life, something like that. May there be an end to your pain and suffering, something along those lines. It doesn't have to be too long, but just to balance you out and get you out of, that negative spot that you're in. So loving kindness practice is probably the best tool to take you out of your judgmental mind.